So, Michael, what did we learn here from this wages print?
Well, I mean, overall, the number was obviously very good, and it's very good for workers, and the wages print was a little soft, but this is we're sort of the part of the cycle where you start to pay a little bit too much attention to the month-on-month wiggles. I think wages are not rising as quickly year on year as they were. Uh, as we expected they were going to be, but they're still rising, and they're still accelerating. And where the unemployment rate isn't as low as we thought it was going to be, because we're starting to pull people off the sidelines, but it's still awfully low at 4%. So it's a good report for workers, because we're seeing people coming in off the sidelines, and that's the reason the unemployment rate went up, not because there wasn't good job growth, but because there were more people finally getting drawn in off the side.
So that participation rate at 62.9, what you're referencing there with a little more activity in the market. Michael, why then the interpretation by bonds today to buy 10 years? And we see yields moving lower, and coming into this, I would have said, hey, look, this market for bonds is poised to go in the opposite direction just because we've had so much bond buying leading up to this number.
Yeah, I think, again, this is the part of the cycle where we pay a little bit too much attention to the wiggles. I think bonds are doing better because you got a slightly softer wage number than we thought we were going to get. And at the margin, there will be some buyers. And keeping in mind, it's really thin. I mean, it's we're between the 4th of July and another weekend, and so there aren't a lot of people spending a lot of time on the bond desks these days today. So it's thin. But I think that at the margin, you have people who look at this and say, gee, maybe this could take the Fed slightly off the boil. I don't think it really does. I don't think there's enough here that's going on to really suggest that anything major has changed.
Yeah. Hey, Michael, we got this chart here that you brought to us, compiled from some economic data, looking at the rate at which folks are leaving. So the job leavers as a percent of unemployed versus that Atlanta Fed wage tracker. So tell me what you're looking at here.
Oh yeah, I think this is a beautiful chart. When the unemployment rate gets low, one of the things that we see, and one of the precursors to wage inflation, is that people start leaving their jobs. If you're a company and you need to grow, you have sort of two options if you're running out of workers. One is that you grow more slowly, and the other is that you start paying more to bid workers off the sidelines, to bid people away from from your competition. And so the blue line there is job leavers, the percentage of the unemployment rate that represents people who have left jobs. Actually downticked to 12.4 at this number, but it's higher than it was in the last expansion in 2007 and 8. You have to go back to the early 2000s to really see a time where we had more people as a percentage of the unemployed who were leaving their jobs to go searching for something else. And as you can tell from this chart,
there's a little bit of a gap here. There's a little bit of a gap here, Michael. It looks like maybe that wage needs to catch up a bit.
Yeah, and actually, if you look at the other times this has happened, you can tell that the blue line definitely leads the green line. And so, what this is saying is, well, we maybe haven't seen it quite yet, but when you have that many people leaving jobs voluntarily, they're not going for lower wages; they're going for higher wages, and that's when you're going to see this number turn higher. I think that it's really unlikely that wages stay as tame and contained as they have been so far.
And Michael, last point real quick before we let you go. How does this line up with what we heard from Fed officials yesterday in those minutes? No, it was a quiet day given the July 5th date. But that being said, Michael, what'd you make of this? Is the Fed right in their confidence?
Well, I think that the Fed is probably overconfident when it comes to inflation. But there's certainly nothing in here that suggests that we've got a fragile economy and the Fed needs to go slow and be careful. So, I would say that whatever the Federal Reserve was thinking of doing before they saw this number, it hasn't changed with this number. If anything, this is showing that we've got good, solid growth. We're pulling people off the sidelines, and wages are not going up yet. I think they're going to go up, and that may change what the Fed, sort of the pace of what the Fed wants to do. But so far, it looks like they're on target.
Yeah. All right, Michael Ashton, great stuff. Always a pleasure having you here on an important day for the economy, Mike. Appreciate the chart as well. Very interesting stuff. We'll see if that gap starts to close by the next time we talk. Thank you, Michael.